So, Bitcoin birthday. Happy birthday to you. Genesis Day. You know what it is. We're trying to go with the green vectors and what have you. Are we going to get a pump for Bitcoin's birthday? Well, Bitcoin has been consolidating pretty well inside of this current price range. And my goal today is just to really highlight certain levels that we need to be aware of when it comes to Bitcoin, because something's not right. The market is tipped to actually open on a positive note. Looking over at NASDAQ, it is trading negative around 21,232. But the market is coming back from what it was a 5-day losing streak. Now, what I'm going to do in this live is just really focus on price action. I'm going to take a few questions about the hybrid system and have a look at a couple of assets that you guys might want me to dive into. But we're going to be paying attention to Bitcoin because right now cryptocurrency is somewhat mixed. There is flavor in altcoins across the board. You've got Dogecoin up 6%. And of course, HBAR again, 7%. That thing just doesn't go down. And then, of course, we have our good old, dearly beloved XRP still at the 50 cents. Sorry, still at the $2.40. Same price, same thing. But it's still at that same price point. But with that being said, we're going to get straight into it and have a look at what we've got in this market today. It's Friday, yes. So it can be a little bit interesting. The market is coming back from the holidays. So it's next week that we're really looking forward to, because that's when volatility is going to be mad. So let's get with the program, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. So what the hell? What's going on? Why is this not working? Oh, no. Why is this not working? Oh, this really stresses me out, man. I haven't got my little flipperoo thing. Never mind. All right. And so let's just get with this program. Oh, I can't believe this has happened to me. Anyway, so what have we got? The dollar is currently trading at significant highs. So something that you want to be really paying attention to is the strength of the dollar. Given that it's now appreciated by 8%, it hit high yesterday of 1.09. The thing you got to be mindful of is what's going through investors' heads, or should I say hedge fund traders, is the idea of perceived value being triggered, which means how much more of something can I buy with what I have? In other words, how many euros can I buy with the strength of the dollar? How many Bitcoin can I buy with the strength of the dollar? And that's something you got to take into consideration when you are trading. Always start your trading day with where's the dollar dominance at? What's going on right there? Moving on from that, I always like to look at the bond market to see where we are in that sense. Now, I don't think the bonds are going to be really doing anything until we get to around the Trump inauguration, which is not far away. And of course, when we go into the 6th of January, which is the point where Nvidia is going to be having a key speaker event. So we're going to see some volatility in Nvidia. So just to quickly go over and look at Nvidia before I go back into the macro things, you can see Nvidia's tipped a gap up at the open itself. You can see it's currently trading just below that 139.37 region itself. And Nvidia itself has been consolidating really, really well. We've had all sorts of information coming out in the marketplace. So Nvidia's done really well to hold on to its gains, especially between this 130, 149, or 150 region itself. But what's got my attention today, guys, is the fact that we do have some more data coming out. The ISM manufacturing PMI is coming out. It's projected to come in at 48.3. A reading below 50 tells us that the manufacturing sector is going to contract. So that's what they're expecting here. They're expecting a contraction. Now, what we want to see is we want to see this above 50, because that tells us that there is expansion in the actual manufacturing sector. But the problem that we've got with that, guys, is pretty simple. You've got to say to yourself, whatever data that comes out now, how is that going to impact where we go with interest rates? Now, some of you have noticed that gold is moving up. And I mentioned it last night that investors are effectively selling the gold ETF, and they're actually going into hard physical gold, which is good because that's usually what leads prices higher. But more so, they're going into equities and Bitcoin. So when you start to see people unwinding from ETFs, then that usually means that investors are coming away from money markets, which means ways that they diversify their portfolio to certain exposure. And then they're going to want to put that money to work and take on high risk assets such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, NASDAQ, stocks. Speaking of stocks, I've got something for you all which might trigger the old conspiracy theorists in the channel. So if you are a conspiracy theorist, give me a hey ya, but listen to this. No, I'm not going to join that. I'm already part of your list. Oh my God. Let me just quickly log in for a second, guys. This is absolutely wild right now. Talk about killing it for me. All right, then. Look at this, okay? Go to unusual trades on options. all right? As you scroll down, okay, you don't really see anything, but look at this. BMY starts from here, okay? I'm going to get to Bitcoin price action. Sit tight. It's all right. It's all right. BMY options 1.9 million, 3 million, 1.7 million, 2.6, 1.2. A little bit of a sell. BMI, BMY, 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 BMY. Who on earth is loading up on this stock? So I thought, let me just go and have a little gander on what is this stock. Bristol Myers Squibb is a biomedical stock which happens to specialize in developing pharmaceuticals for the treatment of oncology, immunoscience, cardiovascular, and fibrotic diseases. Who knows? Like, let's just, I mean, come on. Let's be honest now. Why are you playing so many options? This was yesterday, okay? Just before the close of the market. Who on earth is loading up on this right now? And these are unusual trades right now. These are buy calls, buy calls, buy calls. Something is brewing in this stock. So when I actually go look at the stock itself, I think to myself, okay, then what could I exploit on this? So I said to myself, all right, I'm going to take a little gander. So I had a little stab at this. And I'm looking at this. A lot of funds hold this stock, 3,560, okay? And that has increased from September's quarter 2024 from 3,480. Funds trade around or have around 46% of the stock supply as such, and management holds 1% and banks hold 2%. It's coming away from a very big little retrace right there and currently at $56, $113 billion market cap. Something is brewing because I ain't seen that many options coming into play on one asset in such a short period of time. Nah, something is brewing. Look, I'm just going to say it right now. I'm just saying. My goal is to exploit any opportunity that I see that could give me the idea that investors are jumping onto something, or there could be some pending news event that's coming into play. Who knows? When I go back into it all just to have a look at the stock itself, I look at it and I say, well, when's the next earnings per share? Well, the next earnings per share is in 34 days. So maybe that player is actually building a position, but not that many in one instance. It's unbelievable what's going on. So I'm paying close attention to this. And any of you that are down with the old conspiracy, I know you're going to want to try and dive into what is actually brewing, because I know they've said this stuff about bird flu and all of that. But when a biomedical company like this gets that much volume on an option, something's brewing. Okay, so just take that and put that in your back pocket, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of which, going over into what I was saying. The yields themselves are currently trading lower at 4.2%, and then we've got the 10-year yield at 4.5%. So this is where I said we're going to be expecting the bonds to move up soon. And given that the bonds are currently trading at 97, I'm expecting bonds to make a little bit of a breakout to the upside. That'll be closer towards Trump's inauguration. But of course, when we go into next week's data, we have lots of data that's going to dictate whether or not we're going to see sentiment from the Federal Reserve to give us the idea of how many rate cuts we're going to get. Because quite frankly, we're going into this year with 2 rate cuts. But if the data presents a different option, then maybe we could get more. So the market in principle is actually pricing that in right now. Now, let's go over to the Viva la Bitcoin. Happy birthday, Bitcoin. Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday to everyone. Tina, do you think gold has been consolidating for 15 years and is going to break out this year for the next 5 years? Will it outperform stocks? I think gold is only going to break out purely on the basis of macro events. That means tensions overseas and what have you, because that's what gold is. But remember, gold is a hedge. So as long as the interest rates on the dollar keep coming down, gold naturally is going to increase because investors are going to seek yield elsewhere. What you've got a problem with is right now, the yields on the dollar are really well. It's 4.2 on the 2-year and 4.5 on a 10-year. If the yields do start working themselves back up, then investors aren't going to be going into, they're not going to be going into gold because they're going to stay in dollar. But there is a bit of a sweet spot happening right now because the dollar dominance is very strong right now. And it's at 8.7%. That's 8.7% appreciation on your dollar. That means you require less dollars to buy something. Okay, your dollar has more purchasing power. And traders are effectively now exploiting that. You might have seen me talking about this CME rate swap indicator, which pretty much tells me what the implied rate differential is when you're investing in euro for a short period of time by borrowing dollars and then converting it to euros. Right now, that reading is coming in at 1.37%, but the expectation of euro's price to come down, or the devalue, is coming into play, especially with these tariffs with Donald Trump. And this was last week before Christmas. It was at 1.66%. Then when you factor in the fees and what have you, the average investor on a 23DT trade, in other words, if they hold this trade for 23 days, they're effectively picking up 1.16% on the implied rate differential, which means what's the difference in holding euros for a certain period of time based on the interest rates. But because the interest rates right now in the US are neither here nor there, we want to see more cuts. Naturally, it's costing more dollars to buy euros, okay? Sorry, it's to borrow, okay? So without making it a little too complicated, the only two currency pairs that you want to pay attention to are the euro against the dollar and the yen against the dollar. And there's something that is brewing because the Japanese yen is trading at significant lows right now. I'm telling you, what they're waiting for dollar yen to peak out. That's what they're waiting for. And dollar yen right now is at 157. I expect that there's going to be a Japanese intervention very, very soon. Okay. And they're waiting for Donald Trump. So those of you that are trading dollar yen, you're probably going to see sideways price action, with the exception that there's going to be volatility going into next week's data. We've got the first FOMC minutes on January the 8th. So that's going to really give us an insight into what the Fed is planning on doing going into 2025. But whatever they say they're going to do is more than likely going to be, we need data. Fine. But the non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate are going to be a big catalyst to where the Federal Reserve plans on moving with the interest rates. And I will say this to you all before we get into Bitcoin price action. When you do start trading, whenever there is a change in fiscal policy, in monetary policy, that means when interest rates are going to be increased or decreased, that's where you really want to be focusing on Forex, because it's where investors or hedge fund managers, institutional traders are going to be putting bags of cash to work. Because, as I just showed you, with implied rate differentials, value is going to be different based on holding certain assets. So you might look at the euro now and think, oh my God, it's getting smacked to death. It really is getting smacked, and it's getting closer to parity, 1-for-1 on the dollar. And it can go there because it's been there not so long ago. But it will be an opportunity to really exploit the euro. And anytime it goes down to parity, it always ends up shooting up. So that could be a long-term play for anyone if you are going to look to swing trade the euro as such. But you've got to wait for certain events to come into play, such as Donald Trump's inauguration. What's he going to do with the tariffs with China? How's it going to impact the Eurozone? And what you're doing as an investor is you're moving value. That's what you're really doing. You're saying, I believe price is going to be good over here. So you're going to take advantage and load up on that. But you might say to yourself, well, hold on a second. Before I put my dollars in that, I might as well go and exchange my euros and put that to work, and then that's really what trading is all about. You've got conventional investing where it's, oh, I believe Bitcoin's going to go up. Happy days. With that being said, having a look at Bitcoin price action right now, we've got Bitcoin making a nice little move towards the daily open. Are we going to get our birthday pump? Well, let's have a look at what's going on this ETF. Has BlackRock been up to no good? I just want to say something. Last night, I did that video on MicroStrategy. And people are like, you don't understand what's going on. You don't understand. Let me tell you what. Everyone has the same set of eyes when it comes to the color of money. Everyone does. Okay? Everyone speaks the same language when it comes to money. Now, whatever idea we have about how MicroStrategy is accumulating all this Bitcoin, I mean, one guy even said it. Michael Saylor pretty much is telling you that he only believes in Bitcoin because he's selling the MicroStrategy stock. So more fool the people that are buying the MicroStrategy stock, because he's putting that money into Bitcoin. Why don't you do what he's doing? But I get it. It's a way for you to get exposure. So as long as you've got that in your mind, when you've made money, take something. Take something from the pad. Take something from it. There's no glory in holding a trade until you're never going to know how much it's going to go up by. But social media and influencers will do a great job of making you say, he's in the know. Surely he's in the know. So just do the due diligence. If you're in the game to make money, cool. If you've got an idea, you're going to be the person that never sells the Bitcoin and stand in the museum with his ledger like, like that. And then the plaque will say, this time, I never sold. And he's holding it like that. Damn it, man. Look, guys, don't take what I say as gospel, but at least have it in the sense where you're like, maybe it could have a point. Bitcoin pump coming into play, ladies and gentlemen. No, I think we got some flavor with Ethereum. Just having a look at that right now, because I'm currently in a trade on Ethereum right now. And this is weird. Look, Ethereum's moving up. Currently got a long on Ethereum. I shared this projection this morning with the Platinum members, and I took the same long on Ethereum, favoring higher prices. And we got around 3.5K profit right there. But Bitcoin ain't doing nothing, man. $76 loss. Like, what is going on? Why is it doing it? But I'm going to be looking at closing this trade very soon because I just don't like it. I don't like holding on to trades, especially when I'm live. I don't want to take that risk. But going into Bitcoin price action right now, having a look at where we are with the order flow, it would appear that Bitcoin wants to try and do something. Okay, let me just move this here so I can monitor it. Happy days. Yeah, keep an eye out on that bad boy right there. Okay, so yeah, looking at Bitcoin's order flow, 4,406 traders have been liquidated. But the thing that's got my attention is I've got liquidations up here on Bitcoin, and I haven't really got that many offers coming into play. Looking at the NASDAQ, it is looking like it wants to try and climb higher, but the offers aren't really there. I've got an offer here of 7 million at 97,166. We've got 7 million up there at 97,427. And then you've got this big gap up here, 15 million, 98,010. The question is, would the volatility imply that we're going to see 100K today on Bitcoin? Could Bitcoin do 100K? There's a possibility it could, but then also the possibility that it can't. So we go over and have a look at what 100K looks like. And that's all the way up there. You might look at that and think, oh my God, that is just so far away. A 3% move is easily achieved by Bitcoin, but it's also in line with its range daily high and its high ADR. So what do I mean by high ADR and range daily high? Well, to put it simply, the ADR is the average daily range that Bitcoin can travel up or down over a 14-day period. As it stands right now, Bitcoin can make a 359,816 pip move. What is a pip? You look here where it says 0.07, okay? When that changes to spot 0.08, that's 1 pip. So that smallest change in price counts as 1 pip. So if Bitcoin's going to go up today, by the principle of the daily open, Bitcoin should move 359,816 pips. That would be a move to the upside. At the flip side of that, if you take the opposite direction, Bitcoin could move down 359,000 pips. So the idea is that if Bitcoin can sustain a logic of trading to the upside, the highest point it could go is around the 4% mark all the way up here at 386,000 pips. That's the highest it could go if the volatility presents itself. If the volatility index does come in and say, yep, we're going to be going down back into the green vector candle recovery points right here, it would imply that investors are favoring risk and they want to put some money on the table and go and start buying things. If this goes up, it means investors are trying to hedge themselves on what could appear to be a risky event. So that's what we're looking for. Now, the market does look like it wants to, is tipped to travel to the upside today. It looks like it's a positive day, but it's because it's Bitcoin's birthday. That's why Bitcoin's pumping. So let's just get that into perspective. But they are expecting the markets to open positively after a 5-day losing streak. But just be very careful because they did this yesterday. They said that it was going to be tipped to open up positive, and they did give us a bit of a positive move up. They came down, they brought everything back up, and then they just slumped. And just remember, it is Friday, so things can get a little bit problematic when it comes to price action, okay? So just take that into consideration. For the longer term players with regards to the ADR, so some of you might want to use that. And listen, if you want more data or more information on the ADR, go to the Traders Reality website and take the Breaking Down the Hybrid System. That's a free course. Go and do it because I explain what the ADR is. I explain what this range daily high is. It's right here, the average daily range right there. You've got the M levels, which are seen as the median pivot points. So some of you that are like pivot traders,